So let's explore this side of this war with Dr. Benjamin Schmitt. He's a postdoctoral research fellow at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. He's also served as European Energy Security Advisor to the US State Department. Welcome back to DW. So Russia says it's cutting Finland off because Helsinki isn't paying for this gas in rubles, which of course was a condition that Moscow imposed in response to Western banking sanctions. But presumably we should read this as a punishment for Finland seeking NATO membership.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, Phil, what we can see here, this is just the latest move in a long-running Kremlin-instigated gas crisis that it has built up in Europe since mid-2021, all to undermine the West's response to Russia's later re-invasion of Ukraine. And we've seen these cynical statements where Gazprom apologists and defenders, people like Dmitry Peskov, people like former German Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder, they continue to perform implausible logical gymnastics to try to explain away this company's behavior as, quote, just commercial. And they really, represent kind of this extraordinary conductors of a decades-long symphony of absurdity, aiming to drown out anything that doesn't harmonize with variations on the Kremlin's really farcical refrain that, quote, Russia has always been a reliable energy supplier to Europe. I identified on Twitter just last week a thread with over 25 different interruptions and other non-market actions. And of course, Finland's energy cutoffs, last week electricity and upcoming gas cutoffs, this is right in that wheelhouse.
All right, so Germany is now looking to Qatar for its LNG supplies. But one wonders what sort of bargain you can strike when the market knows that you are desperate. We'll hear from Germany's economy minister, Robert Habeck, and then we'll come back to you.
It's obvious that we need natural gas if we want to get rid of Russian natural gas. This is the situation, but we won't be hijacked, and if someone is using this situation to asking for too high prices or too long-term contracts, then we will find other partners.
Benjamin Schmitt, how done is this deal with Qatar? Can Germany dictate terms or walk away?
Well, they certainly can walk away. I mean, the big thing to remember about LNG is that unlike oil, it's less fungible, but it is going in that direction, right? So it is something that you can go to a global market and try to replace volumes. And I think the most heartening act that I've seen since since Germany's well-publicized Zeitenwende, this supposed era of Kremlin deterrence, which we haven't seen fully yet, but maybe things are going in the right direction. We saw Minister Habeck boldly predict on May 5th, a good chance to do what is normally impossible in Germany. He said to build an LNG terminal at Wilhelmshaven within about 10 months and connected to the German gas supply. And he also came out just last week and called Kremlin energy practices as a weaponization of energy, or using energy as a weapon. This is something that was unthinkable from the Merkel government and certainly unthinkable from former German Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder. So, I mean, it's really encouraging that the physical infrastructure for imports is being moved along quickly in Germany. At the same time, this sort of deal with Qatar, this will take time to work out, but I think that it can be part of the solution for diversification in Germany. And I'm really hopeful the fact that we've seen these talks going on. This will take time, but it's really needed because you have to get these gas storages up.
There are many who would query whether this is a deal that should be done at all. There's a horrific irony about turning away from one dictator waging a war on your doorstep to another miles away in Qatar with an equally questionable human rights record.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, this is kind of the curse that we have with hydrocarbons, this petro-dictator and authoritarian nations that are built on hydrocarbon sales, and that's why we're seeing the same sort of issues play out with the Saudis, with the Qataris, with the Venezuelan government, the Russian government, et cetera, right? This just goes on, and this is all the more reason that we need to work to reduce our energy dependence on, in particular, authoritarian nations, and try to diversify energy supplies to the greatest extent possible.
Right, and so presumably then, in this circumstance, Berlin's not in a position to impose conditions ethically or otherwise.
It's not clear. I mean, it's a little bit different from these long-term contracts that Berlin had in previous governments tried to build in. Remember, as the rest of the European Union from 2015, after Russia's initial invasion of Ukraine, was working to actively diversify away from overdependence on Russian natural gas in particular, but energy in general, Germany took the other approach. It followed this flawed Ostpolitik policy where it was trying to actually entrench its energy relationship through the now defunct Nord Stream 2 pipeline. And these are the sort of things that Germany is actively moving away from. And getting onto the global market is really, a big, big step. It's something that other countries like Poland and Bulgaria and others, which I heard you talking about earlier, they've already taken those steps. Germany really needs to take a page out of their energy security playbook to become more resilient to Kremlin pressure.
As ever, good talking to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Dr. Benjamin Schmitt from the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics.
Thanks so much.